Philadelphia, please make it loud for Josh Johnson!
When I was growing up, I had a friend who was like a latchkey kid, and he would get off the bus, and he had 2 hours to himself before his parents came home. So he'd get off the bus, he'd open the door in the house, he had full reign of the house. And we're still little, but he's like old enough to, you know, go ahead and make himself a grilled cheese if he wants something, anything, just till his parents get home. And one day he comes home and his parents had a get together the night before, and he sees laid out just a little bit left of some wine. And he's like, oh wow, I know that this is grown-up juice, but I want to try it because I'm not supposed to have it, because I know I'm not supposed to have it, right? And so picks it up and he's weighing the options in his head. He's like, I could try it, but what if I get caught? I'd be in so much trouble. Oh, but I really want it. Maybe nobody will know. And he's going over and over it in his head to the point where he decides, I'm gonna just have a little sip. And he's bringing it to his lips, and then he ends up slipping it out of his hand, drops it, stains the carpet, right? So now he's freaking out because it's like, oh no, they'll know there wasn't a stain there when they left. This is all on me. And he did what a lot of kids would do in that scenario. He made it worse. He was like, the only thing, and I can understand he's a kid, but this is a mistake that I don't think I would have made. The best thing for him to do in that moment, he thought, was to make a bigger mess. And then that way, the stain won't be so bad. So he grabbed a rock and he threw it through the window. Which was a huge mistake because he went outside to get the rock and then threw it from inside outside. He realized what he had done as soon as he did it, so then he had to go back outside, grab the rock, carefully pick up all the glass, bring it back inside, lay out the glass next to the rock, next to the stain, you know? And then his parents get home, and when they come home, immediately they're like, oh my gosh, what happened? What happened? And you know, he's had an hour 20 to think up a story, you know? So he's over here like, yeah, oh, yeah, it was crazy. They're like, what happened? You know, you got the rock going through the windows, all this glass on the floor and the stain. He's like, well, the stain's probably not as big of a deal as the broken window when you really think about it, right? And they're like, what happened? And he says, well, you know, the rock came through the window and it must have hit the glass that had the wine in it, the wine that really shouldn't have been left out. You know, that's an adult beverage. I'm a minor. And then it must have hit the perfect angle to hit that glass and this glass and then knock over and then make a stain on our beautiful 3-bedroom carpet. Yeah. And his parents were like, but did you see it happen? Like, how did this happen? Did somebody throw this? And he's like, uh-oh, because he didn't think that far. And so he was like, yeah, the man threw it. And they were like, what man? And now he's in deep because he's like, yeah, what man? What am I doing? And so he's like, yeah, the man, there was a man that, you know, threw the rock through the window and everything. And you saw him? Yeah, I saw him. He threw it and you know, he ran and everything. And he thought maybe that would be the end of it. But from his parents' perspective, there was someone who threw a rock into the window, maybe to get inside while their son was home. So they had more and more questions, and he didn't know what to do. He was freaking out, you know? Next thing he knows, the police have been called, and the police come over, and they're like, what did the man look like? And they over here taking notes and stuff, and he's like, he doesn't know what to say next because he didn't think this far. And that's how I feel like Trump must feel about Epstein, because it goes so deep. It's like he didn't think this far in the lies. Like he just didn't account for it. He thought he could make it quiet, you know? It's not going to be pitched as a direct and absolutely direct order from Trump, what the DOJ did. But the DOJ came out after interviews saying, oh, there's so much information. We're just trying to figure out how to put it out there in a way that's clear. Oh, there's so many files. There's a list of names. There's logs. There's a client list. After saying all this stuff in the media, the DOJ comes out and says, actually, the investigation is closed. We're not going to be prosecuting anybody else. And I think we got to the bottom of it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's not going to stand at all. That's not going to stand with anybody, because you got to remember who Trump garnered with this belief that he released the Epstein files. He's got MAGA, sure, but he also has Q. Nobody talks about Q anymore, but they're still around. And they believe deeply that Donald Trump is going to be the one to unleash all of the truth. All the evidence will come out. When Trump is president, he'll turn over everything on the powerful cabal that has been victimizing people across the world. And then he's like, hey, yeah, there's no... And I think he thought that he could really bury it, that he could truly bury it. But he's wrong. He's wrong because there are a lot of things that he didn't account for. There are people that Trump controls. There are people who he orders around, and there are people who blindly follow him, sure. But he didn't count on things like Jeffrey Epstein talking before he died to a biographer for like 100 hours. Like just a ridiculous amount of time. I have friends I don't think I've spoken to for 100 hours. 100 hours, you probably say a lot of nothing, and you probably say some pretty interesting stuff. Those 100 hours of conversation is how we know that Trump and Epstein were tight for years. Well, even Epstein said he knows some of the inner workings of the White House because him and Trump would just chop it up. You know what I mean? That's heavy. That's a lot to try to sidestep. And Trump's been making mistakes this whole time. Even when Epstein died, right? Epstein dies. He was in jail and he passed. Who can say how? And, Ghislaine Maxwell gets, charged, has a whole trial, gets convicted, sentenced to 20 years in prison. And apparently what we're hearing now is that at the time, Trump floated pardoning her. And the people that heard that almost couldn't believe it. Why would he pardon her? That's crazy. And it's like, actually, it's not that crazy when you see the picture of all them hanging out, like, in the 90s, and they met in the 80s, and they used to fly around together. Like, that's his buddy. And he even said himself, these are his words out of his mouth, when asked about Ghislaine Maxwell during the trial, he said, oh, I wish her well. Somebody that's on trial for trafficking. Somebody with ties to you. I wish her well. And then people were like, why would you wish her well? And then they brought it up again, and Trump was like, I wish lots of people well. And we were like, no, you don't. I've been watching you the whole time. I don't think you wish anybody well that I've seen. All you come up with is nicknames. Man floated pardoning her. That's crazy. And then the DOJ comes out, hey, yeah, this is done. Nothing else to see here. And people were having a hard time wrapping their heads around that. People who usually stump for Trump hard. No matter what he says, they manage to twist it in a way that maybe could make sense to you, and they'll say that that's what he means. One of the reasons that Trump can do everything that he does and it comes off a different way to everybody is because so many people think that they're the Trump whisperer. Trump will say something out of nowhere, And then there'll be people like, well, what he actually meant was something more reasonable that I'm going to say right now. And I'll be like, that's interesting, because he didn't say any of those words in that order when he was speaking. And I think he had a teleprompter, so I don't see how that's possible. And so everybody thinks that they can be the Trump whisperer, and it's just not working this time. You see people trying to come up with why Trump, why the FBI, why the Attorney General would all of a sudden, what feels like out of nowhere, try to shut this whole thing down, right? Alex Jones, of all people, saw what the DOJ did, and he made a video crying. I think it's very important. When, when a man shows emotion, not to just ridicule him for it because it's easy. But Alex Jones cries weird. Alex Jones cry weirder than anybody I've ever seen in my life. I don't wish anything good for Alex Jones, but to see him cry felt like something happened to me too. Like, it's... Alex Jones is up here like, folks. Like his eyelids were doing sit-ups, crying. I'm sick to my stomach, and I just can't believe this thing is happening. Wipe your face, dog. Like, and even Alex Jones trying to come up with something. He's like maybe the deep state got to him, and the deep state is like in his body, and that's why he's doing this stuff right now. And then he'll be back to normal after he has one of my protein shakes. You can go to my website and buy frog protein for $19.99. No, it was crazy. Because Alex Jones, you gotta remember, this dude is a proper conspiracy theorist. Old school. There's something deeper behind everything. Everything at all times. And I'm not talking about like chemtrails. I'm not talking about like government operations. There's something deeper behind everything that happens all the time. Hillary Clinton went on The Tonight Show. Pretty sure this was on The Tonight Show. And she was trying to open a jar of pickles, right? I don't remember what the bit was, but that's what was happening. And Alex Jones pulled it up, and right after she opened the jar, he was like, you see? Do you see what happened right there? Hillary Clinton didn't open that jar. Now, in the video, she has opened the jar. Hillary Clinton didn't open that jar. That jar was pre-opened. All right? You can tell because there was no pop. There's supposed to be a pop. There's supposed to be a... There was no... I brought the same jar. I'm going to open for him right now. And this man spends a while trying to open the jar. He spends an uncomfortable amount of time trying to open the jar. I think at one point he even had a rag too. You know, like those kitchen tricks you use? He over here, you know, sometimes you like tap the top of it, you like... And he's like, I can't even open it right now, folks. That's how you know this thing right here, she didn't open that jar. So imagine Alex Jones on Epstein. No. I just think about the way that MAGA has been reacting. Because it is a full-on revolt. Truly. It's a thing that they cannot fathom is happening. Whether it's Q, whether it's MAGA, or whether it's just people who have been following the Epstein case from the beginning. Because you got to remember what Epstein stands for. He is the ultimate boogeyman. He is the ultimate beacon for people that believe that all the elites are in on something together. And it's easy to make him that because he had an island billionaires were flying around. People went to him for tax advice and for law advice. He was this financier, even though I don't think he had a law degree and he wasn't a CPA. So it's like, what are you doing with people's taxes that you helping? And so this dude, he represents a lot. He stands for a lot in conspiracy theory world and in just the regular world. This is someone who has ties to billionaires, to royalty, who come to him for horrific acts. And now you're telling us, there's nothing else to see here. There's nothing else to see between, me and him especially. There's nothing. Don't look. Stop. 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 And so then Trump, for his part, is watching this whole thing go down, and he's watching people argue about it in front of him. People who are, in his administration and on his side argue about the best way to handle it, going back and forth. Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Cash Patel, all names that sound like they're about to be called down on The Price is Right. Like, all three of them are constantly going at it because then, Bongino is upset with Pam because he thinks that Pam overpromised and underdelivered and everything. Why would you even say that this stuff was coming unless you had a plan? You were just talking in front of the camera. And then Pam is going back at him, and Trump's watching this whole thing. And then in a press conference, they even asked him, they actually asked Pam Bondi a question about the tapes and the DOJ's memo and everything. And Pam Bondi was ready to answer. She was about to speak, and Trump interrupted her. He's like, hey, look, are we still talking about this guy? What? Like, why? Like, years? Like, why? Like, everybody's talking about this dude. Like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm sick of this for you, Pam. You don't even feel like answering, do you? And Pam didn't catch. She wasn't quick enough. She was like, no, I don't mind answering. And I know Trump had to be sick when that happened. It's like, no, go ahead and answer then. And, Pam Bondi talked about how they had released a lot of stuff, because there's a difference between releasing evidence around a case or releasing vital information or declassifying things and then releasing stuff, right? So they released a bunch of stuff to look like they were releasing something. Like, they released the videotape of the night that Epstein got up out of here. And the problem with the tape is that it's always been talked about as if there was a tape of his cell that would prove definitively that, like, nothing untoward happened, right? But the tape isn't of, like, Jeffrey Epstein's cell with him sitting there and everything. It's of, like, a hallway. And you're giving a tape to conspiracy theorists. They're gonna do some extra looking. There's like 10 hours of tape. But there is 61 seconds missing. I don't know how long it takes to kill somebody. But if there's 61 seconds missing, I'm assuming that it takes 50 seconds and gives you 11 seconds to get down the hall. And I'm not even saying that's what happened, by the way. I'm just saying 61 seconds, that's weird. And they asked Pam Bondi about it. And Pam Bondi is like, look, it's a very old system from the 90s where the tape resets at midnight. So it takes a second to, like, reset, and that's why 61 seconds are missing. And I have a lot of questions. I had a ton of questions. One, my first question didn't even concern Epstein. My first question was, why are you telling everybody that? Because that is very valuable information if you're a prisoner in that. Because you know what they play in prison, the news. You probably sit there in Gen Pop like, wait, it what? Every day? I gotta go take care of something. So she says, look, this is the way that system works. So we're actually gonna be supplying more video footage to show that there's a minute missing every night. And I was like, why would you say that? The people in prison can hear you. But also, that's a pretty bad system. It was supposed to be watching somebody and it takes a minute to blink. That's pretty wild. That it's just gonna be missing every day, and you're telling us that like it's not an issue at all. Felt crazy to me. And then they release the video, and then people go digging, they go looking. And one of the things they find is that the video has been doctored. Somebody at some point read the video through Adobe Premiere and did something. And I'm not saying, look. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Adobe Premiere, all right? All I'm saying is I would have thought the government, with all their resources, you know what I mean? Like the government would have like a special program. That just feel pretty cheap to make an Adobe Cloud account that you run this Epstein tape through. Like nobody's gonna know. So then people are wondering about the missing minute. They're wondering about how this video has been tampered with. And then even people who watch the full 10 hours of the video, because you gotta remember, some of these people are dedicated. They're like, there's actually a guard that leaves one way and never comes back, which proves that there's two ways to enter that hallway. And I was like, oh man, he's so screwed. Trump, he's very good at creating a distraction, and he tries. He did his best. He said that he was gonna revoke Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. On any other day in American history, that would be a headline. Any other day, that'd be wild. And look, Rosie O'Donnell and Donald Trump have what I think is now like a 20-year feud going on, which is absolutely insane. The President of the United States has the ultimate and deepest beef. His arch nemesis is the actress from Harriet the Spy. That is mind-boggling. The leader of the free world is ready to have it out at any given moment with the voice actress from the main gorilla in the Disney movie Tarzan. The man with his fingers on the button for the nukes has a deep hatred in his heart, decades long, for Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award winner Rosie O'Donnell. This is an unacceptable timeline. That is crazy. I don't even know what Rosie O'Donnell did that day. Like, I don't know what even brought it up. But he says, I'm thinking about revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. If Ireland wants to keep her, they could have her. And any other day, this would be the story. He knows that. Who knows? Look, I'm of two minds about this thing because it is clearly a distraction, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I'm of two minds about this thing because, one, obviously, there's a world where he's just like saying stuff to say stuff to like swiftly like move the news cycle in another direction, and he may not do anything. But the fact, as a sitting president, that he would even muster up the corner of his thumbs to put that into a phone to go out to the world is so deeply insane. Because this thing that he's doing now is not just a step too far. It's the entire field too far. Rosie O'Donnell is an American citizen, a citizen. And so if he can do that, then truly, 100%, without a doubt now, nobody is safe. What started this whole immigration, fear-mongering, you gotta remember, because you have to understand, as a platform, people have been running on it as long as there have been, green cards and immigration programs. Oh, is it a little too much? Oh, we don't like what it's doing to the landscape of our neighborhood and everything. And people have won votes on it. That's nothing new. But what's turned is the way that people are openly nasty and disgusting about it. There's always been racism in it. It's mainly what it is, because if you really cared about people coming over the right way, the legal way, then you would make the right way and the legal way clear, and you wouldn't kidnap people at their green card interviews, and you wouldn't have mass people picking people up after baseball practice, okay? If that's what you cared about. And you also, you've structured this thing to make these people seem like monsters. That's been the plan this entire time, because if somebody is a monster, it is part of the human condition and a flaw that we have. As long as we see somebody as a monster, whether they are or not, we don't really care what happens to them. It's why they can make conditions in prison so bad, because the assumption is, well, everybody that's there deserves to be there, so screw them, right? If they don't have clean water, or if they can't shower, or if their food's contaminated, good. Because they did something bad to earn that place, right? And it helps you strip the basic humanity of looking at another person, whether they've made a mistake or not, or looking at another person, whether from a different country or not. And if you get really good at stripping that humanity away, you can do whatever you want, and then you start to be able to do whatever you want to anybody that you want. And that's what's been creeping up this entire time. What started as guys, they're eating the dogs. Remember, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Nobody's pets are safe. It was getting so dumb. It was past these are criminals and they're killing us and they're coming over here to do terrible things. And then it started to morph a little bit more. Okay, look, I know that they're going through the proper channels and everything, but they have a misdemeanor in another country. Do we really want somebody like that to become a citizen? Maybe we should deport them now. No, I understand that they have their green card, but they also, I don't know, they have this weird past I don't like, or they wrote an op-ed I didn't like, or they said a thing that I didn't like. So do we really want someone like that in our country? I know that they are a fully naturalized citizen, but the way that they became a citizen is a little bit under suspect, because I said so just now. So maybe we'll deport them. And now we're all the way to the point that American citizens that I do not like can be gone. And so you see, when you let somebody's humanity get stripped away over and over and over again, and it's in the back of your head, and you even go with the lie. They probably did something, or maybe they shouldn't have done that thing, or maybe they have a good reason. When you do that enough and it finally comes for you, don't be surprised. Because the thing with the Rosie O'Donnell, it's there's a part of it that I think is nothing. I'm not saying that thing is absolutely going to happen. I'm just also saying that the fact that he even fixed his fingers to put it out is a problem. And normally, on any other day, it would have been such a problem that it's what everyone on the news would have been talking about. But this was a different day. This was a day where Dan Bongino is so upset he doesn't even report in to work. He's tired of arguing with Pam Bondi. He might resign. Other people are talking about resigning. This Epstein thing isn't going away. And so then Donald Trump did what he does best, what he does in a crisis, and what he does when it counts. He made it worse. Like a kid throwing a rock through his own window. He makes it so much worse. And now Trump is dealing with that fallout. There are people calling for Pam Bondi to resign. There are people that are asking Trump extra questions. And then Trump crashes out spectacularly while y'all were probably parking. And so I'm gonna do this real quick. I don't like to use my phone or bring my phone out often, but I have to read you what Trump posted. And admittedly, look, I'm gonna read every word that he posted, all right? But I will be doing it the way that I read it in my head. This is insane. What's going on, my boys? Boys in quotations. Oh no, what's going on with my boys? Boys in quotations. And in some cases, gals? Also in quotations. Are you asking us a question about what's going on with them, or are you confused about the gals specifically? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job, all caps. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect, all caps, administration, the talk of the world, all caps, and selfish people, in quotes, are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies. What? I'm not saying that Trump killed Epstein. I'm not saying that at all. I'm like specifically not saying that. I need you to understand that I am explicitly not saying that Trump killed Epstein. I'm just saying that if I was like driving in my car and I hit somebody and I somehow got away with it, but I saw them every time I closed my eyes, I'd be like, this guy never dies. All over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. This is a man who hasn't slept. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama? You know what's so good about files written by Obama is that Trump was sitting there knowing he know Epstein. Trump knows Epstein so well. They were friends. Trump lived so close to Epstein in Florida that Epstein had to knock on his door and let him know he was on the sex offender registry. Like, that's how close they lived together. He knocked on the door, was like, hi, the court has ordered me to notify you that I'm in the area. I have been convicted of a few crimes, and I left my suit jacket over here last night, so... That's crazy. By Obama, and it's a list. It's a list. It's, why are we giving publicity to files? You know what it also is? This man was sitting here knowing that he knows Epstein. He's sitting here knowing that this looks very bad. And he did the DOJ thing, even though it's not directly tied to him, even though the president isn't allowed to interfere. He clearly did the DOJ thing where he told them to shut it down. And now people are rebelling against him. And he's sitting there like, how can I make it DEI? Obama. Thanks, Obama. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, Crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration? So I guess they were all in a room in this scenario, and they wrote the files together in tandem. Like, Obama just knew that everyone in the Biden administration would be in the Biden administration one day, so he gathered them all together. But this is also before Epstein ever died or anything, so Obama time traveled to like right after to know it would hurt Trump, so then he came back in regular time and he sat down Hillary Clinton, Comey, Brennan, and the loser, he had to get all the losers and criminals of the Biden administration in one room so they could write. Also, wrote the files? Isn't it a bunch of documents? And the losers and criminals of the Biden administration, I do like that he said there are criminals in the Biden administration, but there are some people who aren't criminals. They're just losers. but I want to make sure I address them too. You're not safe. You're not safe just because you're not a criminal if you're a loser as well, all right? In fact, you're a loser because you're not a criminal, all right? I have 34 felony convictions, and I'm the president, okay? You out here not even a criminal. You can't even criminal good. Loser. And the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with Russia, Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, intelligence is in quotes, the laptop from hell. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I really don't know what that is. I don't know if that's like Hunter Biden's laptop or a laptop with Hillary's emails on it, or if he just had a bad experience with an HP laptop. But like, that is also in all caps. The laptop from hell and more, question mark. They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake, all caps, Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called friends, this man hurt because my so-called friends, as a world leader, my so-called friends is the most Regina George Mean Girls line I've ever heard in my entire life. My so-called friends is wild. Foreign diplomats, world leaders had a dinner that Trump was at, and they made fun. This is his first term. They made fun of him at the dinner. He could probably hear him in the background. They were laughing. It was like Boris Johnson and Justin Trudeau and other people, and they were over here doing him. They were over here like just making fun of him hard, cracking up, talking about how he doesn't know how to spell, everything. They were getting him good. They were roasting him. And then this man comes back to the U.S. and I'm pretty sure it was Fox News that played the tape that somebody got of them making fun of him, not with a bunch of audio, and his head was down a little bit. You could tell his feelings were hurt, for real. And he was looking down and everything. And he just said, yeah, I didn't know that, like, they were, like fake like that or anything. Even in that moment, he didn't say my so-called friends. My so-called friends is insane. And now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? And this is good. This is clever. He's doing what he does. This is the Republican talking point that's going to go around. Look for it over and over and over again. Well, why didn't Biden release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could hurt Trump, that could derail MAGA, why didn't he release it? All right, that's the most I know you are, but what am I logic I've ever heard in my life? Because you're the president now, so you could release them. I know that Biden didn't release them, but you could release them. You could. You could release them if you wanted. You could, like I dare you. I was just saying, like I dare you. I bet you won't. I bet you're too scared. I bet you won't. But you could. I know Biden did it, but you're the president now, and I thought you were a better president, so you could. You could do anything that Biden didn't do. You said that. You were like, there's a bunch of things Biden can't do that I can do, that only I can do, and one of those things is release the Epstein files. Like, I bet you won't do it, though, because you're scared. No, it's just funny, man. This man, he's going through it. Why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or the MLK Jr. files, which is a terrible idea to bring up different conspiracy-laden things while you talk about there not being a conspiracy. That's crazy. That's a terrible move. This man is derailing. No matter how much success we have had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. This man is spiraling. It's never enough for some people is not what a president says. It's never enough for some people is not how you speak as a president. That's how you speak as a dad who just finished a 16-hour shift and somebody tells you to take out the trash. It's never enough for you people. Every day, I've been awake for 24 hours. It's my birthday. Yeah, thanks for the time. It's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. And that's true. That's true. We're all going to die. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, all caps, which will continue to be our complete priority, all caps. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job, all caps. She's great, all caps. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking into as AG, and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead, all caps. Now it's the hottest, all caps, country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. There's a thing I read about a long time ago. There was this leader named Father Yod, and Father Yod was the head of the Source family. The Source family was this collection of people. Some people called them a cult and everything, but they mostly kept to themselves. Like, they ran like a vegan restaurant, I think, and they just minded their own business. But one of the most interesting things about Father Yod was Father Yod told them early on, before it was ever even really a cult, before there were even a lot of members, I'm God, and don't go to a hospital. That was his thing. And that happens in a lot of cults, by the way. Don't go to the hospital because hospitals are full of experts who can provide answers that I can't. So if I can cut you off from other experts, if I can cut you off from people reasoning in a way that is just direct with logic, I've already started to bring you into the fold in a way that you'll never leave. And so Father Yod would tell them, don't go to a hospital, right? And so they didn't. Members of the Source family would not go to a hospital. And they did what I would say was generally well for a cult as far as length. A lot of cults fall apart in those first few years. You know what I mean? First year, everything sort of starts out good. Everybody's just having a good time, making friends, living in a commune and everything. And then year two, somebody try to get you to drink something or do something else. Just people start coming for your mouth, you know what I mean? And all sorts of ways that get uncomfortable, and that's usually when the cult falls apart, because there are people that are like, ooh, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to drink that, ooh, that's weird, no, I'm going to go, right? And then that's when leaders sort of crumble and start having power grabs, and they get paranoid and everything. This didn't really happen, at least from what I read, to the Source family, Father Yod, and they stayed together long enough that there were members of the community that started coupling and even having children. And it got to the point where they were about to have the first baby born into the Source family, but they can't go to a hospital. They can't go to a hospital, and something feels wrong. And no one can really describe what it is, but basically this member starts going into labor in real time. So everybody is looking over to Father Yod. You know, you said you were God. You told us not to go to the hospital. I think you're going to have to deliver this baby. And so this man does it. He delivered the baby, but when the baby came out, it wasn't making any noise. And it wasn't moving at all. And people started crying. Everyone was devastated. There was so much joy around having a new person in the family. And Father Yod, he did something. I don't know what he did, but the members described it as him just clearing the airway gently a little bit, and out of nowhere, after all that silence, after no movement, the baby cried. and it started moving. And if he thought he had followers then, if he thought that they were believers then, we don't need a hospital. And it got to the point where one day Father Yo was like, you know what? I'm done with this whole like earthly thing. I'm tired of healing y'all and everything. Everybody coming up to me all the time. I got a cold. Because that's what he would do. People would like have a cold and then he'd be like, blah, 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 and then they would still have a cold and they just get over it in 2 weeks because it was a cold, right? But then when they finally got over the cold, he'd walk by and be like, did it? And it's like, all right, well. And so, this one day, Father Yod said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a vacation. Get away from y'all for a little bit. I'll come back, but I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to take it in heaven. And so he got on a 1,300-foot cliff with a glider. Because I guess he thought he was gonna glide up enough to just like get to heaven's front door or something. Like this man is truly like lost to the sauce, right? He'd been leading the cult too long. He believed him now. I wish I had half the confidence. Because that's so crazy to think you're just gonna fly up to heaven and stay up there, but you also need a glider. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least people on ecstasy think they gonna just fly immediately, you know? This dude gets on the glider, takes off, and never did this before in his life. Wasn't trained or anything. And so he jumps off the cliff in the glider, and he goes perfectly down. He goes straight down. This man, a bow, right? And so the followers like, oh, he went the wrong way. And then they come down the cliff and everything, and they come to get him. He laid out. I can't even do it. He laid out. He laid out like, but not like busted up. He's not dead. He's laid out like this. And didn't have any, to what I read at least, he didn't have any significant, any substantial like bruising or markups on his body. Another miracle. You would think. Turns out everything stayed intact, but his guts were all upside down. Like this man stayed perfectly in his body, but his lungs were in his feet. Like he and so they run up on him, and he over here laid out like, I can't even do it right. Like he laid out like, when they find him, glider crash, he laid out like this. And they run up there like, Father, Father. And he's like, get me to a hospital. Get me to a hospital. Now. And the followers are like, what? And he's like, yeah, the one on 32 Roscoe, please hurry up and get me to a hospital. And there's different accounts of this. I'm sure that there's followers that say he never asked for a hospital. I'm sure there's followers that say he asked for a hospital immediately. But this dude is like, get me to a hospital. And then the followers are like, what? Why though? Like, you said never go to a hospital. You said that that's not real science in there. You said that you get sicker if you go to a hospital. We can't take you to a hospital. And he said, get me to a hospital. I'm serious. Oh, I feel something upside down. You know what it probably sounded like? I mean, I'm not there. We don't have the footage or anything. But I imagine if you fall 1,300 feet down, you probably sound like that grape lady. Remember that grape lady that was crushing the grapes? Then she fell, and then she went, arr, 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 arr. Off camera, we didn't see her. Because I'm sure when he said, get me to a hospital, they really didn't understand what he was saying at first, because he was like, get me to a hospital. Get me to a, I think my spine behind my balls. Get me to a hospital. But then my man looked intact. So they're like, no, he doesn't need a hospital, he just needs rest. And then he died 9 hours later. And so when I see the way that like MAGA is turning on Trump, it just feels so much like, why would you? Wait. Why would he lie? He really doesn't understand. Trump truly doesn't understand why this thing won't go away. And it's because he doesn't understand people. You know, whether it's, you know, the MAGA base, whether it's Q, whether it's anybody online, anybody interested or concerned about anything to do with Epstein, all those people are people. So if you lead people on and you lie to people, they have a reaction. You can't just get something and give nothing in return. And people won't let it go, and they won't give up on it, because this man is real. He really existed. And he really destroyed a lot of lives. And for all of our faults as humans, we care about that. And so no, we're not just gonna let it go. It's not like some passing fad of a thing. I think it is to him, because he just uses what he needs while he needs it to get what he wants. And once he has it, he throws it or the person who gave it to him away. And it's something that some people are finding out right now, that he'll betray you on a dime. Nothing matters to him. Because if this thing doesn't matter to him, then nothing matters to him at all. There's no way around it. People care because vulnerable people were victimized for a very long time. And whatever part you had to do with that, it can't be covered up, because there's nothing that screams, I'm in the Epstein files, like, stop looking for the Epstein files. One thing that I thought was incredible, one thing that put a smile on my face, was when Rosie O'Donnell responded to Donald Trump talking about revoking her citizenship. And I know I don't like to pull out my phone, but I want to read you what she said. You can actually look. You can actually. This is on her Instagram, so you can actually look this up for yourself. I'm not kidding. This is crazy. So first thing she does is post a picture of Trump and Epstein together, which is genuinely hilarious. And is Rosie O'Donnell posted in the caption, "Hey Donald, you rattled again? 18 years later, I still live rent-free in that collapsing brain of yours." I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I watch the news all the time. I watch people try to defend Trump. I watch people attack Trump, and I'm chronically online. So I watch people insult Trump all day long, and I have never come across collapsing brains. Collapsing brain would actually explain everything. It would explain the made-up words. It would explain the spelling. You call me a threat to humanity, but I'm everything you fear. A loud woman, a queer woman, a mother who tells the truth, an American who got out of the country before you set it ablaze. You built walls, I built a life. I'm an autistic kid in a country where decency still exists. You crave loyalty. I teach my children to question power. You sell fear on golf courses. I make art about surviving trauma. You lie, you steal, you degrade. I nurture, I create, I persist. You are everything that is wrong with America, and I am everything you hate about what's still right with it. You want to revoke my citizenship? Go ahead and try. King Joffrey with a tangerine spray tan. Jeez. I'm not yours to silence, I never was, and then it's the Irish flag signed Rosie. And if I'm being honest, I just never expected, I never expected the president of the United States to be so effectively eviscerated by one of the supporting actresses from A League of Their Own. It just feels wild that this is life. Philly, y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I hope you had a fantastic time. I had so much fun with you. Thank you for an incredible weekend at the Fillmore. Thank you for 8 sold-out shows. I appreciate you so much.
He's the newest correspondent on The Daily Show. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for John Stanley, everybody!
Tell you what, though. I've been reading as much news as I can about it, and there's no way to be fully up to date because it's all still developing. But they really won't let us have or not have TikTok. There's so much conflicting news. I've never seen so many notifications on news. News notifications that said maybe. No news is solidified. Chevy, is TikTok banned or is it not? You know, because it's not right now. But it's not right now the way. TikTok feels like how I used to pay my light bill. Do you know what I mean? Because it be looming. I'm like, they gonna shut it off. I gotta get together, they gonna shut it off. All right. And then I call them up and be like, look, if I can get you $45 today, how much light will that get me? And well, your bill is past due. So past due is past due. We gotta shut it off as past due. And I'm like, but it would be less past due if it was $45 closer to not past due, right? And they're like, sir, it doesn't really work like that. I'm like, it works however you work it. Come on, I need to see. Because there was this looming ban, and then the Biden administration, which is wild. Both, at one point, Trump didn't want TikTok. Trump was like, I'm going to ban TikTok. This is years ago, but he was like, I'm going to ban TikTok. And then not much really happened with it. Then they actually passed a bill under Biden where they were going to ban TikTok. And then it was looming for months. And it felt like nobody was really talking about it. Not no one as in absolutely no one, but just the news and stuff. There were other things to cover. And then it got close. And then it got to yesterday. And it was gone. And it was gone early. It was supposed to be this morning that they cut it off. And then last night they were like, let's be safe. And they shut it off. But when they shut it off, I was like, I don't know if they really needed to do that. We had 4 more hours here. I was looking at the way I look at my light bill. If they had cut off my light early, I bet just because I don't have the money doesn't mean you got to take. Now you owe me 4 hours of light. That's 4 hours where I better see at night. We have so little faith in our government actioning anything that we were like, nah, it's probably not gonna get bad. They said that, but they say stuff. That's what they do. They just be talking all the time. You ever watch C-SPAN? That's just them talking. And then they talk, and then they're like, no, we promise you'll have health care eventually. And then we're like, well, it still hurt, and it's infected now. So I guarantee you they're not gonna ban it because I've been sick. Been sick, and they said they were going to help me, and they still working on helping me. So there's no way they could do one thing before the other. They got to help me with my sickness before they ban the app. Oh no, they did it. Okay, wow. It also comes down to what people use the apps for, because they all serve a different purpose. Lots of people have everything, by the way. Lots of people have all the platforms because they use them for different things. Even if they post the same thing on everything, they get different things out of it, like different feedback from the different communities that are on all the platforms, right? Because every platform has a different function. You go like Facebook. Facebook is like general life updates, but in like a major way. It's when paragraphs worth of stuff has happened to you. You know? And there's pictures too, but the pictures usually go along. Usually it's like somebody quit their job, so they post a picture of a sunset, and then they just talk about everything their job ever did wrong to anybody. Really air out the whole job in the post. Twitter is mostly for when you hate something. You mostly bring what you hate to Twitter to get other people mad about it. I've had good days, and then I accidentally opened Twitter, and I got mad about a whole host of things that I've never thought I would be mad. I didn't even know it existed until I read about it on Twitter. I don't even know if it's real. It could be a lie, but I'm very angry. You know? It's so bad on Twitter that Elon Musk was like, we gotta start being more positive, y'all. The richest, trolliest troll of all time was getting lit up so hard. He was like, y'all, kindness is the way, though. Not like the more I live, the longer I live, the more I can tell that like positivity, that's the stuff. You know, Instagram is in an interesting place right now. I'm sure everybody has a different algorithm, but Instagram been a lot more butts lately for me, and all I really do is like look up pictures of Shiba Inus, and so I don't know where they're getting Shiba Inu and then just ass from that. But we are where we are. You know, Reddit is a huge platform that doesn't get enough credit for being like in the top 5 of like used platforms. You know? And on Reddit, that's where the secrets come out. You find out stuff on Reddit you didn't think was humanly possible. People will tell you stuff on Reddit that either happened to them or that they did, where you wish that there was. You know how people said for a long time Facebook wouldn't do anything about it? For a long time, everyone was using Facebook. So this was talking about like when I was in like high school, college, everybody was using Facebook, and they were like, why can you only like stuff? You should be able to dislike stuff. You should be able to, and they finally added all the emoji icons for the different reactions to a post. On Reddit, when I'm reading sometimes, I deeply wish that there was just a police icon, just so I could be like, all right, that is jail. That's jail. Because the amount of jail-worthy things that get admitted on Reddit is truly astounding. The level of honesty coming out would make a detective shudder. Sometimes a detective is in the room hearing somebody's confession, and all the detective posts under it in the thread is, that's crazy. Like, this is your job, sir. There are bodies to find. And then TikTok served a new purpose. TikTok was in this really interesting place. I don't know if it still is to everyone, but it had the jump. It had the corner market when it came out on like authenticity. Yes. You could blow up on TikTok by being yourself. There was no like algorithmic thing that you had to figure out. Some people went that route. Some people were like, oh, you know, you have to have a flash on your video in the first 2.5 seconds. That'll make people blink, and before they know it, they've been watching for 10 minutes. Like, There were all these posts about how to get people on your page and keep them there and get followers, stuff like that. But mostly what people were won over with and how followings grew was people just being themselves. In fact, people on TikTok didn't like a polished look. That was like a real separation from the rest of social, because everything else, whether it was YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even Reddit, when videos were posted to a degree, people really got into the production quality, because for so long all we had was Hollywood. Those are the only people that could make things that looked good, that were entertaining. And so then when it started to break out away just from Hollywood into the masses, and if you're very talented and you know what to do with a camera and you can tell a story, now people are watching your thing because it's Hollywood quality. But TikTok came along and people liked that it was messy. They liked that you were just in your room. They liked that you were just talking to them. Maybe your mic was a little off. The amount of people who post TikTok have a camera in their car to talk to the world. That's a TikTok thing. Instagram didn't have that. If you tried to talk to people on Instagram from your car in a video, telling them your thoughts, your feelings about life, you go back before TikTok blew up, you try to do this in your car on Facebook, people would be like, oh, you mentally ill, okay. I didn't know. I had no idea until you started talking about your breakup in your car. Like I was in the room with you, but I'm not. Like, TikTok invented all that stuff. Like, I'm not saying that there weren't people who were posting and streaming and doing stuff everywhere, but I'm talking about making it normal, right? That was a TikTok thing. And even if you have the same piece of information, you post it to the platform with different expectations, you know? Let's say you got engaged and you tell everybody on Reddit, not everyone, but a lot of people on Reddit, when you post your engagement photo, for some reason they'll rip you apart. For some reason, they'll really come for you and be like, why you so tall? Of course, another Chad gets a girl. I mean, because people on Reddit, they can be incredible and they can be ruthless. Like any app, all of them. But Reddit, people have a special talent for getting in those feelings, you know what I mean? Like, you'll just post a picture of your hand with the engagement ring on it. Why your finger's so fat? I'm surprised you got it on. You're gonna have to leave it on for the rest of your life. It's never coming off now. I hope he the one, because that ring never slipping off. You could have all the butter in the world, okay? You post your engagement to Twitter. Good luck. They may not rip you apart, but you may be served with like an entire essay about how marriage was actually this form of slavery that's been used by the patriarchy since the beginning of time, but really in feudalism to control women and stop them from finding any joy or autonomy of their own. And every time they try to break away from this sort of structure, they get beat back down by other women, actually, with the expectation that they're going to build a nuclear family, because without them the country will fall into shambles and it'll all be their fault. I mean, everything is a woman's fault when you think about it, but for the most part, this one thing will be their fault because it's them actually doing it, you know what I mean? And then you'll get to the bottom and be like, I regret posting. You'll post your engagement to Instagram. Instagram, I'm not gonna lie, that will be one of the better places to post, but it will be filled with a lot of fake love. It'll be filled with a lot of comments like, oh, girl, you look so good. Oh, wow, and what a beautiful, the lighting and everything. Where people on Instagram go to talk trash is the DM. You know what I mean? So everything they would have said to your face on Reddit, they say behind your back in the DM after they post, and they give it a like and they comment, ooh, you two were meant for each other. It's not gonna last. post is here, DM is here, and people going back and forth. They'll start a whole thread under you. They'll start a whole thread under your post about how perfect y'all are for each other. I remember the first day that y'all met. It was so sweet, and he asked if he could buy you a drink. He's a total creep. I always knew he was a creep. At least she got him off the streets. It's just wonderful that your love has lasted so long. Y'all been together for 4 years. That's incredible. What a beautiful relationship. I'm surprised it took him this long. Yeah. One time, I had a friend get engaged, and sure enough, they posted to Instagram. The whole thing was going down. It was all happening, right? It was all happening. All the love, all the likes, all the you know, like when the emoji is the yellow emoji, but the eyes are hearts and the mouth is way too wide. You know what I'm talking about? And it was all of that. And then a thread got started with these two friends just gushing over the pictures and how they looked and how cute it was because he brought the dog. And then it was like him and the dog were proposing, like, be part of our family. It was so sweet. And then at the very bottom, they must have mistaken the post for the DM, because the very bottom, one of the friends was like, bitch. You post your Instagram, you expect certain things, you know. You post your engagement to TikTok, anything could happen. Because once again, the thing that led people to people was their sort of authenticity. So if you post to Instagram, now the parasocial relationship that gets built on Instagram is different, because those people are like people that you probably kind of knew. Facebook used to just be people that you know. And Instagram made it more popular to have friends that you were never going to meet, but you do know, right? TikTok now has completely lost that sort of connection, but there is a parasocial relationship from the amount of time someone has been following you. So you post your engagement to TikTok, and people are either over the moon for you, or they're like, why am I seeing this? What's so special about your love that's on the For You page? Like, I'm not really digging this at all. It's either people who have watched you make TikToks about going on a date, about meeting the person, about dating the person, and then now you're engaged and they feel like they're there with you because they've watched you over this 4-year period. Get close to a person, start to trust them, talk about love, talk about relationship, and now you're engaged. It just feels like this moment that everyone's having together, right? Maybe you're pregnant. And you post your pregnancy announcement to Reddit. Yep. You post your pregnancy announcement to Reddit, and Reddit is like, good for you, I guess. Glad that you found somebody to bring somebody into the world with and stuff. Good. Happy for you. Here's a picture of Pikachu for some reason. You post your pregnancy announcement to X, and a thread starts. A thread from a quote tweet of you posting your pregnancy from someone who doesn't know you, talking about how pregnancy is actually a patriarchal tool that's been used since the beginning of time. Since Eve, it's been used as a structure to hold women down, connected to men that do not deserve them, all right? Men that just sort of anchored them to the family unit. And they say that they'll be providers, but they go off and they die in wars caused by other men for treasure and for land. And then you are left with the child, and a child that will eventually resent you for not having that sort of male figure in their life, because it's your fault that he went to war. It's your fault that there was even a war, because you were just living being a woman while there was war. How dare you, right? And so then people start arguing in the thing. People you don't know, by the way. You don't know these people at all, but now they're arguing about the merits of pregnancy, and then it turns into this weird thing about if you should breastfeed or use formula, and then everybody's like kind of attacking each other on that, and people are saying some really out-of-pocket things, and you don't really know who these people are because they have like avatars of anime, but at the same time they're talking about how like you're not a real mom unless you breastfeed, and you're like, in what world are you even human or are you AI? Like this feels like the CIA or something. It's crazy. You post your pregnancy to Instagram. Get ready. Get ready for the overwhelming amount of fake love and bad advice. Random bad advice too. Comments that are not only not helpful, they're almost not what the post is about in a way. It'll be like, congratulations, but don't drink any lemon water for 7 months, all right? Like, why? It's like, oh, I did, and now my son is a felon. It's like, you post your pregnancy to Facebook. People are over the moon, you know? They're like, oh, I can't. That's amazing. Look at you. I even read the whole thing. I even read the whole post, and now I'm going to give it the little hug one. You know, the hug one? You only use the hug one when somebody's pregnant or when something really bad has happened. You only use the hug emoji in the best of times or the worst of times. There's no in between. It's never, I got a new job, hug emoji. It's either like, this is the best day of my life, hug emoji, or at 12:58, we lost. You post your pregnancy announcement to TikTok. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild because while you're posting to TikTok in the announcement that you're pregnant, yeah, you might have followers that are excited for you, but you stub your toe. And when you stub your toe, for a split second, you just hit your toe because you're walking and talking because you don't have it on the tripod. You've got your phone in your hand because once again, we like authenticity. Obviously, a ring light is good. We like to see the people. But for the most part, we just want to feel like we're part of your life. And so you're going around, look at the baby room, everybody. That's because we're pregnant. Yay. Oh. And now that one errant noise is the most popular TikTok of all time. That one errant noise. There's just people are now putting that noise to whole historical events, right? You'll see a whole historical event. You'll see the most irreverent posts. You know, somebody will pull something in black and white, something like the Hindenburg or something, and just your voice going, oh! I mean, somebody will make a TikTok of their uncle falling down with no noise except you going, oh! No, we're deeply unserious people. It's all in how we communicate. Like even if you're having an argument, like let's say, maybe it's not a breakup, but let's say it's to that level where you're like, should I break up with this person? We're not getting along. We're not getting along at all. This doesn't even make any sense. You shouldn't be in a relationship that has this much stress. And so then you go ahead and you post exactly what happened from your point of view to Reddit. It's some of the best reading you'll ever read in your life. You know, some of the best reading of all time, you know. Am I wrong? Am I the a-hole? All this stuff. It's great. And you post everything that happened. And then the opinions start flowing in, right? And the opinions are anything from, look, I think that with enough communication and an understanding of a genuine foundation of the love that you have for each other, y'all can come to a consensus about what happened. It goes from that to kill him in his sleep. Go ahead. No, I wouldn't take that if I was you. If it were me, I'm gonna make him a pie. I'm gonna fill it full of glass. And then he gonna be eating the pie because he greedy. He gonna be eating the pie. I love apple pie. I know you love apple pie, stupid. I know it. And he gonna be eating the apple glass pie, and then all of a sudden he gonna be like, yo, my stomach hurt. And then he gonna reach for his phone. I'm gonna grab the phone and use the phone to record him. while he on the ground. Ooh, my stomach hurt. Oh. Then I'ma ask him, was it worth it? Do you feel right now? And then I might call the ambulance, I might not. Let me see how I feel when I do it. People will admit to whole crimes they're willing to commit based off of things that other people said when they just simply ask the question, am I wrong? You said, hey, am I wrong? I don't want to go to another one of my spouse's office parties, and they threw a big tantrum about it. Am I wrong? And then someone on Reddit was like, no, you're not wrong. In fact, you should kill them right now. Kill them before they can even go to work again. And then a detective in the chat room, in the thread, is like, that's crazy. I wouldn't do that. You post an argument that you're having to X. Here's what happened. Look, I'm just throwing it out there. This is what happened. And then you get quote tweeted. Someone you don't know who like knows the situation because they read the tweet, but is clearly inserting a lot from their life into the argument you're having. Because you're like, hey, I don't want to go to another one of my spouse's office parties. Am I wrong? Because they threw a big tantrum about it, said that I don't support them and stuff. And then someone quote tweets it and they say, you know what? I've been in a situation like this, and while we don't know each other, I feel like we're in a similar boat because the person that I was dating at the time was very selfish, and anytime I wanted to do something or not do something for my own well-being, they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to be a part of it, right? It was either their way or the highway. It was either their way or I was a bad partner, you know? And just because I didn't want to be with them while they were doing their work, I was a bad partner, which isn't fair because they were a drug mule, all right? They were a drug mule, and because I don't want to travel that much, I'm cool with them drug muling. I just don't like going to Mexico like that. I don't need that many trips to Tijuana. I just want to stay home one weekend. But they're like, no, you need to hold the bag. I don't want to hold the bag. You're the mule, not me. Mule better. Why are you muling with help? Do your job. It's your job. It's not our job. I work in an office. You post the argument that you're having to Instagram. And it's kind of hard because it's just like, it just doesn't really fit in that way. Like it's hard to be like, here's a picture of us arguing. Y'all go ahead and argue about it amongst yourselves. Or you could even tell a story. You could try to tell a story about what happened, but people on Instagram just don't really engage like that sometimes. Like, obviously there's arguments on Instagram and people can go back and forth in the comments and stuff. But as far as like being with you throughout the story of the argument and swiping enough times to see the whole argument, it's probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? You post the argument that you're having to Facebook, and you do get a lot of opinions, but they're mostly emojis. They're mostly like, I'm sorry you're going through that, huh? You know? Or, I can't believe them, angry face. You know? Or worse, you just get a like. I don't even know what that means. I don't know whose side are you on. I'm asking for help, but you hit me with a like. That honestly, in text and on Facebook, is some of the most disrespect that you can do when somebody really needs help, when they really need something, and you hit them with a... Just say you don't care. Please, you didn't even care enough to type out, I don't care. You hit them with a... Y'all, I don't know, I'm in negotiations right now for a job, and they said that I should set my asking price, you know, for my salary, and I've never done that before. And I looked up the normal, like, market salary for the job that I'm doing, and it's a little high from what they advertise, but it's entry level, so I don't know if I should try to bump them up and let them bring me back down, or if I give them a price that's too high, that they'll just not call me back, you know? The disrespect. You post the argument that you're having to TikTok, and not only will someone take your side, they'll take the audio of you explain the argument, and they will set it to the most beautiful scenery you've ever seen. Use it as inspiration for somebody else to leave their partner. And they turned it back on this morning. It was gone for all of whatever. 12 hours some places. I feel bad for Canadians because apparently got shut off for some Canadians too, and they were like, what did we do? We weren't even really in it like that. How does that affect us? And then, you know, had a message this morning. They were like, oh, we're going to reinstate TikTok. And it's off of goodwill. It's off the faith that an executive order is coming on Monday from Trump that would extend the lifespan before a ban, right? But nothing has really changed because the whole thing that they said was that as long as ByteDance maintains like ownership or as long as it's Chinese owned, we can't have that. Only we can spy on us. Because I want to be clear here. The thing, I'm not acting as if there is nothing to be worried about with TikTok as far as like surveillance, as far as just sharing of information, everything. I'm just saying that like the apps, as soon as Apple saw all of the tracking that was going on and that they could get in on that tracking, but they really didn't benefit from the tracking or not the tracking. People just were in the app store, right? They added a thing where now when you open an app for the first time, or it's usually within the first few times you use an app, it'll open up and then you'll get an Apple notification that says, ask app not to track or allow, right? And the things I had to ask to not track was genuinely what, like, almost every app is spying on you. Apps that there's no way they're getting anything. I had an extra alarm app. The phone already come with an alarm, and I got an extra alarm because I didn't really like the alarm that the phone came with. So I said, let me download this alarm. And then it popped up on my phone, ask app not to track. I'm like, track what? I'm asleep. Like, who you gonna tell that I'm asleep? Can you imagine just sharing the data just every day? Every day he wake up at 8 o'clock. Do with that what you will. You know? Because honestly, that's how I feel about data. It's like everyone is stealing it or tracking it, and we as individuals have not fully embraced the importance of it. Like the importance of that privacy, because we don't really know what it's like, because we were already spying on us. So we don't know what it's like to go from like no privacy to no privacy, and by what entity and how that affects us. You know, there's certain stuff that I'm sure is going to lead to something really horrible. They're going to track enough habits, and then they'll be able to target you with something you can't help but buy. That's usually the goal of it, is to like sell you another thing down the line, right? Nobody's really trying to get to me like that. Like the alarm app hitting up assassins. Like, hey, if you want to know where he is, he's going to be knocked out for the next 8 hours. You might want to make your move now. You know? But your privacy is important because it's yours. One of the things that even Google does, sometimes when you're on a route, right? Google will then ask you questions later from that route that you took. Hey, was it quick? Was it slow? How many people were there? And it's like, I don't work here. Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't you weren't with me. You just put it in blue and I followed it. We don't have a relationship like that. How long did it take? Did it take the time that we said, or did it take 5 extra minutes? And it's like, stop trying to get me to help you with your homework. That's all it is. If they want you to do that for them, they should genuinely do something for you. You know? Like, I know the Maps app comes with the phone, but they should do something extra. You know? Google should do you a solid if they're going to get you to be doing them favors. You can't just glean all this stuff off of people and then give them nothing in return, right? Because then they don't even give you credit. They change the route. The next person that's going where you were going from where you were, they tell them, like, it's actually going to take 40 minutes, not 35. And they don't say, that's courtesy of Curtis. Curtis, the one, let us know how long it was actually going to take. We were over here just kind of guessing, and then Curtis was like, it took me 40. So now we said 40 to be safe, so you won't be mad at us and we'll look better, right? They don't do that. They're just like, 40 minutes, and I bet you were right. And I don't know. I don't know if it's good or not at all as far as like TikTok goes. People are genuinely addicted to TikTok, but they're addicted to a lot of things. But people are so addicted to TikTok that it made me change my mindset around some addictions, right? Because people will say the kids are addicted to TikTok and they're doing all this bad stuff and they're losing their minds when they can't be on their phone. But then you see, when the ban was looming, the people who were really like chronically on TikTok and were worried about the ban, they started downloading other apps. Apps that were more Chinese. There are people downloading like Red Note. Red Note on the cover, at least for me, didn't even say Red Note. That just said Chinese. It was written in Chinese. It could have said anything. Downloaded it, got on it. Chinese users were calling TikTok US users refugees to our face. And they weren't even being like hella rude. They weren't even clowning us that hard. They were just like, I know you don't have anywhere to go. So let this be a new home for you, okay? We embrace you. And people wanted TikTok in their lives so bad. They wanted it so bad that they were learning Chinese. Duolingo use of English to Chinese went up 216%. They wanted TikTok so bad. They were learning Chinese. They might still be learning Chinese because once again, this thing isn't over. They were learning Chinese in real time. I've never been so addicted it made me learn. Do you know what I mean? You know what no one has ever treated like crack? School, okay? No one has ever been outside their schoolhouse early. Just, I gotta get in, baby. No, they got all the math in there. I gotta get me some. Why would you lock the doors like that? You got all that geometry in there, all the shapes and stuff. You know how it is. I just want to be part of it. Let me do some factions, baby. Never. Even when you try to teach people the thing that they supposedly want to learn, sometimes they don't want to learn it. Sometimes you're not in the mood, right? That's how you have. That's how I know that TikTok is one of the most powerful phenomenons we've experienced. There are people in college right now trying to get a degree in something that use ChatGPT often. This is the thing that you said you want to do with your life. You're literally going into debt to do it. And you're still like, hey, ChatGPT, what's a kidney? I mean, they got me over here doing all this pre-med biology, anatomy stuff and everything. What's a kidney? Like, do you even need that one? Is that like, can you get it removed like tonsils? No, man. It's insane. And I don't know what's next, you know? Because as of the time I'm talking to you right now, the executive order hasn't gone out. And I'm not saying it wouldn't go out. It makes perfect sense for it to go out. Because even Trump himself has said that the U.S. should own a stake in it, right? But when he said the U.S. should own a stake in it, he, I think, meant more like the government. Because everything happening right now, make no mistake, is very good for TikTok. It's incredibly good for TikTok because now there's buyers coming out of the woodwork. They had this whole time to try to get some sort of stake. They were already talking to Microsoft a little bit, you know? And then now you see Mr. Beast, you see all these people like, hey, look, fine, y'all. I'll buy it. I'll do it, you know? And then Musk is like, I'll buy it. And when Musk said he'd buy it, I was like, maybe just let China have this one. Like, that's not... I can't imagine Musk trying to run Twitter and TikTok. Because with Twitter, he ruined Twitter, and I'm not saying this as some bleeding heart liberal or something like that. Oh, Twitter's not what it used to be. He literally called it X, which nobody liked. I don't know anybody that was like, X? Oh, yeah, that's badass, dog. Yeah. Because then when you tweet, you'll X. So then you could X somebody out. Like you could just be cursing them out on your tweets and you Xing them. I love that. Said nobody. He already changed the name to something that doesn't make sense. And then it's an insane app now. It's genuinely crazy. No one likes it. It was getting big. It was getting big for a minute with the Nazis. No, genuinely, Nazis were like all about Twitter for a second. They were like, first of all, we back, okay? First of all, we back because we were getting banned. We were calling people stuff and getting banned. We were posting swastikas and getting banned. And then we were saying we like wanted to kill everybody and we were getting banned. But now we back. You know, never thought I'd see a Nazi try to crip walk before, but like, they were so excited when he reinstated all those accounts. They were like, hey! I'm doing that little dance. They can't really dance. They really just got the one move, you know what I mean? Okay. And then they got into it with Elon over different things. Because this is the thing that tripped me out about Elon buying Twitter and everybody saying it was because he was trying to save or maintain, preserve free speech, is that he immediately, even in the pursuit of buying, even before it was final, he was doing stuff that was like very anti-free speech. Like you would get into it with Elon, and then all of a sudden something would be like off with your account, right? And as soon as he took it over, he was like, guys, this whole blue checks off everybody liking you, that's done. That's done. You gotta buy your blue checks now. You have to buy your cool, because it's the only way he knows how to do it. And then this dude made this weird check system which nobody understood. They just knew if you paid like $9 a month or whatever, people would actually see what you tweeted. And everybody was calling it tweet still. Everybody. I don't know who besides the news sometimes says X. And then he offers, hey, I'll buy this one too. If Elon had bought TikTok, I think it would have fundamentally destroyed communication. I feel like, yeah. And look, it may still happen. There may still come a day where, you know, he buys TikTok, calls it X squared. You know, he might buy TikTok and just rename it to something stupid. You'd be like, let's just get straight to the point. It's called Clock now. I mean, who knows? We really are in this holding pattern. It's a holding pattern that is deeply frustrating, and it's like one of the most symbolic ways that government can get in the way, because both Trump and Biden have said, I want a TikTok ban at one point. And then both Trump and Biden have tried to not enforce the thing that they said that they wanted. Because even with Biden, it got down to last 5 days of his presidency, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna do y'all a solid. I'm not even gonna force the ban. I'm gonna kick it over to Trump, let him see what he wants to do, right? As if that was a move. And then the Supreme Court got involved. The Supreme Court, they didn't just uphold the ban, they were like, and you better shut down. I was like, who are these nerds? I didn't even know the Supreme Court could do, I knew that they could uphold the ban, I knew legally they could say something. I didn't know they could make anybody do anything. Now I'm confused who has the power, because then the Supreme Court was like, yeah, you have to shut down. And then Biden was like, I'm not going to force it. But the Supreme Court was like, you better shut down. And then Trump is like, well, I will issue an executive order. How's an executive order from one president beat another president's not doing anything about it? Do you see how, it would be like if you were doing a bunch of illegal stuff, right? Let's say you're just doing hella illegal stuff. You got guns, you got drugs, you're doing all sorts of crimes. And then right at the same time, the FBI, the ATF, and the local police show up, and they just pointing guns at each other, arguing about who's gonna arrest you, is what it feels like. It's like, who can do something? That's crazy. You sitting there, everybody got an AR-15 or a Glock, and you're like, look, I'll go with whoever, but just tell me before I move. Because y'all all got one point at each other and pointed at me. And I just did what I did. I don't want to be shot extra. You know? And that's the thing. That's how it keeps you. That's how it keeps you ready to lose your mind, because you just want some form of clarity, you know? And this is all, sadly, all this is happening because the thing that TikTok gave people by existing as an app and allowing people to be on it was just community. That's all it is. People aren't necessarily just addicted to TikTok because they figured out an algorithm that was very pleasing to the eye, or because videos are very short, or there's earworm music that you can love to listen to over and over again, or it gets stuck in your head. Genuinely, the thing that addicted people to TikTok was community. It was like, oh, I've always been weird, and now I met weirdos like me. You'll get addicted to that. It's kind of that thing. Getting addicted to community is not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of what having a family is like. You know? But we're so genuinely fractured in how we move that it's easier to build community and relationship with people that are distant from you online than it is right here. You ever tried to make a friend in real time? Making a friend in real time. You ever thought you were friends with somebody and then you went in for the hug? Getting a hug rejected is way worse than getting a kiss rejected. A kiss is just okay, we're at a level, I thought something was happening that wasn't happening. You know what I mean? And the kiss getting rejected is very subtle, because you can lean in, they can be like, what are you doing, right? Getting a hug rejected is a whole dodge. That's a whole Heisman right there. You ever go to hug somebody you think is your friend? I think I'm friends with people way too fast. So you ever go to hug somebody you think is your friend, and then you get a hand in the chest? It's just whoa, what you doing, buddy? What's the plan here? I've tried to hug people before that look like they would rather me rob them. You know? So it's hard. It's hard to even guess what's going to happen, because one of the main reasons that they wanted a ban was because they could not control the flow of information, and they could not control the way that people were communicating with each other. You know, if you can control community, then you have everything. If you can tell a whole community what to do or how to think, then you have a power over them that is really scary, because it's not just a connection that you have with them to get them to do something. It's the fact that them going against the grain may make them lose everything. It's how cults work, you know? And everything that they accuse TikTok of doing is already what Facebook does. It's already what Twitter does, Instagram, you know? They just do it in a different way. And they do it in a way that's not as cohesive, right? Because they are really trying to get your money. And so you look at something like how people operate on TikTok. And sure, there's misinformation everywhere. There's people maybe leading people down a bad path. You wouldn't have some of the hardcore manosphere type dudes without TikTok either, you know? Young people watching this thing. This guy seems cool. He's got a cool car. And he's telling you he can get you girls. He can get you whatever. And so then you watch the next one, the next one, the next one. And before you know it, you are kind of talking like him. You are doing what he does. But that can happen anywhere. That's not a thing specific to TikTok. Social is very powerful. And it's powerful in a way that I think we underestimate sometimes. Because you got to remember that our grandparents did not grow up with this stuff. This is ours. This thing, when you were a kid and the internet was popping off, you know, or maybe you're younger than that and the internet's just always been around. It makes me feel pretty old. You know, I remember I had to explain a modem. Having to explain a modem makes you look like you drove the first Ford vehicle. Like, I had to explain the modem, not just like, I had to explain that like a modem and a router used to be different. And that you used to have to put one here and put one here. It was a different thing. And then they combined it one day and y'all spoiled because now all of it in one. When you buy the internet, when they send you internet to your house, it made me talk old. Just like, I got so caught up in like the fact that they were born in like 2003 that I was like, no, see, you spoiled, because when they send that internet to your house, when you plug in them internets, you just get it right away. We didn't always get it. We had to troubleshoot it. We had to be like, now the router say I got internet, but the modem say I don't. So then let these two battle it out real quick. You know, sometimes you got a modem in and the modem didn't even work. You be getting mad. You shaking the modem. Because our grandparents didn't grow up with this sort of thing. But they are just, look, Facebook is their TikTok. Every generation of people has a TikTok is TikTok for the young people. A little bit older, Instagram is our TikTok. And then Facebook. It's TikTok. You want to know how I know it's their TikTok? Because the things that they pull off of Facebook, the things they say to me that they saw on Facebook, I've never heard in the history of my life. I remember when TikTok came out and I was like, damn, everybody 18 and younger can just dance now. That's crazy. Everywhere I do, you would see people making TikToks out in the world just in a parking lot like... You know? And then you see that. It's not dancing. It's in the form of like conspiracy theories with our grandparents. Our grandparents saying stuff coming off of Facebook I've never heard before. They'd be like, hey, you know them dinosaur eggs they found? What? Them dinosaur eggs they found. They full of gold. My boy was talking. Straight up. He was talking to his granddad. His granddad had been going down this thread of conversation. Had joined this community on Facebook. And his granddad genuinely explained to him what was happening that nobody was talking about right now. Really went into lots of detail and stuff. And what his granddad thought was actually happening in the current moment was just the plot of the movie The Mummy. It was just him being like, no, see, you don't understand. So they buried these dudes a while back. They mummies, right? But then they buried them with these like talisman type things. And so they could wake up at any moment. Like, you gonna see it. It's gonna be just like COVID. You know, everybody gonna be living their life. Then all of a sudden somebody gonna be like, oh, and then... The levels of conspiracy I've seen off Facebook lets me know that, like, okay, part of what's happening is that they literally join. It says it, community. They join this community. And they talk to these people all the time. These people get each other riled up. They enjoy each other's company, at least in a sense, right? They're typing, but it's still like somebody is there. If you want your grandparents to stop believing in conspiracy theories that they get off of Facebook, just call them. It would be the biggest distraction to conspiracy theories we've ever seen. Just call, just distract them. Just be like, hey, you on the computer right now? Hey, how about you just sit down and chat with me? Let's FaceTime. And then in the FaceTime, you can make sure that you don't see the glow of a computer on their face. And you can just talk to them about things that are actually happening. How's your day going? Oh, well, you know, my hip isn't what it used to be. You know what I mean? But just that, building community with your family, stops this thing of like, you know, them dinosaur eggs. I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad anymore. You know, like a part of me thinks that maybe it's pretty good because of what I saw as it was shutting down. I saw people sharing some of the first TikToks they ever watched, some of the first ones that they ever fell in love with. Everybody was like really coming together. I didn't even see a bunch of infighting. There wasn't like 5 things that men should stop doing if they ever want to date again. It's like, it was just people being like, hey, remember this thing? That was pretty funny. That was so nice. You know? And I hope it can continue that way. I hope we can always treat TikTok like this thing that we almost lost if it does stay. You know? Because when you almost lose something, you kind of hold it a little bit more precious, right? And then it could be like the opposite of X. It could be like... But the main thing that people got so rabid over with TikTok was just connection. You're in a community now. You know, you're a community of people. These people get you. These people are either going through what you're going through or they at least understand what you're going through. So there's a shared language that I don't have to break down what I'm like to every single person all the time. You know? And then to lose that, yeah, it might make you learn Chinese.
Mira,